Something tiny happens in public. You spill your coffee. You stumble halfway through a sentence. And for the next 3 hours, you replay it. They all saw it. They all remember it. They are talking about it right now. In the year 2000, 3 psychologists at Cornell published a study on this exact feeling. They handed people an embarrassing t-shirt. They counted who noticed. They counted who remembered. The number of people watching you is about half of what you think. Your brain is doing it to you right now. The spotlight effect is an egocentric bias in social judgment. Formally, it is the tendency to overestimate how much your actions, appearance, and mistakes are noticed by the people around you. Informally, you walk into a room convinced everyone can see the stain on your shirt. You leave a meeting sure they all registered every stammer. You send a message and spend the evening waiting for a fallout that never comes. The name was coined in 1999 by Thomas and Kenneth, and the size of the miscalibration has a number. Across dozens of replications, people estimate about twice the attention they actually receive. 2 to 1. Consistent. You are not the exception. To see where the number comes from, look at one of the 5 studies in the original 2000 paper, published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. The setup is simple. A Cornell student arrives at a lab 5 minutes late. In the waiting room, 5 observers are already seated, filling out a questionnaire. The experimenter hands the latecomer an oversized t-shirt with a large photo of Barry Manilow on the front. The student puts it on, walks in, sits at an empty desk for about a minute, and is then told the session is delayed and they can go. Out in the hallway, the experimenter asks, "How many of the observers in that room do you think could identify what was on your shirt?" Average estimate. About half. Then the experimenter goes back in and asks each observer privately who was pictured on the shirt. The real number is about 1 in 4. 2 to 1. In a second study, students wore non-embarrassing shirts. Bob Marley, Jerry Seinfeld, Martin Luther King, and again estimated about half the observers would recognize the figure. Actual recognition was under 10%. As and his co-authors wrote in the first line of their paper, most of us stand out in our own minds. That overestimation is not a party trick. It changes what you do. Start with the moment you are about to speak up in a meeting. You feel the pause before your own sentence as a huge silence. You imagine everyone waiting, ready to score the phrasing. So you do not say it. By the time you have rehearsed the sentence internally, someone else has moved the conversation on. Your idea never gets tested. You stay quiet and leave the meeting feeling invisible, which is, in a small way, accurate, but not for the reason you thought. Now, public speaking. Your hands shake, your voice catches. You are sure the audience is watching the tremor, reading the sweat, counting every filler word. They are not. The Clark and Wells cognitive model of social phobia describes the loop exactly. Your attention turns inward, onto your own body, which makes the symptoms stronger, which feels like proof the room is judging you. None of it is happening in the room. It is happening in your head. Then there is the bigger version, a career you stay in because of what people will think if you leave. A relationship you do not end because of how you will look. An invitation you decline because you picture arriving alone and imagine the room register it. And showed in 2001 that observers of real social mistakes are far more forgiving than the person making the mistake assumed. You are imagining an audience that is more attentive and more judgmental than the one that actually exists. Which raises the question, why does the brain do this at all? 2 reasons stack. The first is a heuristic and identified in 1974, anchoring and adjustment. You estimate unknown quantities by starting from something familiar and editing. When you try to guess what another person sees, the only available starting point is your own first-person view, which is vivid, saturated, full of your stain, your sweat, your filler word. You adjust downward from that anchor. You adjust, but not enough. The second is older. In an ancestral group of 40 or 50 people, being noticed was data. Reputation meant survival. Error management favored over-monitoring over under-monitoring. Better to think you were watched when you weren't than to miss the times you were. So the brain ships with the volume on that circuit cranked up. In a 12-person meeting in 2026, the circuit is still running at tribal levels. The effect does not disappear, but it shrinks when you push against it in specific, researched ways. First, flip the camera. Imagine watching the exact moment from the outside, the meeting, the speech, the arrival, as if someone else is doing it. Zone data showed that when participants watched a recording of another person wearing the embarrassing shirt, they estimated attention accurately. The bias is first person only. Viewing yourself in third person partially disables it. Second, turn attention outward. The Clark and Wells model recommends deliberately moving attention onto the task, the slide, the question, the other person's face, instead of onto your own body. Follow-up work by Wells on attention training therapy shows measurable reductions in social anxiety when the monitor points outward. Third, run a prediction and reality check. Before an event, write down how many people you think will comment on the thing you are worried about. After the event, ask a trusted friend. The number will be lower than you predicted, usually by about half. Do it a few times, and the calibration starts to update. What does not work? Telling yourself to relax. Willpower. Rehearsing an imagined audience. Those tighten the loop. They do not loosen it. So, that tiny thing from earlier in the day. The spilled coffee. The stammer. The message. Half the people you think noticed did not. Half the ones who did have already forgotten. Everyone else is running their own internal theater, starring themselves. And his co-authors opened their 2000 paper with one sentence. Most of us stand out in our own minds. That is the spotlight. It is on. It is pointed the wrong way. Your brain is lying to you. We have a lot more to catch it doing.